Speed holes. You may have seen them on Swiss Cheese Pontiacs, gassers, and front engine dragsters of the 60s, or you may have just seen them on the Plan Z Dart over in Uncle Tony's garage. Yes, they're an aggressive way to remove weight from your car, but it's free and they obviously work. That's why Mitch, the owner of Agent AOD Mustang on our channel, is employing them to try to lose an extra 10 pounds on the nose of his car. He's already put on a fiberglass hood, he's got an aluminum radiator, he's removed all the unnecessary components. It's time to get aggressive. Check it out.
Okay, you guys, this is the same fender that we're going to modify in this video, but I want to show you a couple things on this fender before we get started on the actual fender that we're going to be working on. These fenders are really light, meaning cheap. There's not much to them. Basically, they're just an outer skin, and you have a big brace here, and you have another little small brace down in the front. And that's pretty much it. So there's not a lot of areas to take weight out of this, but we're gonna take weight out of it. We're gonna find a way, believe me. So I'm going to put this on a body shop stand, and I will go over in greater detail with some close-up shots of the areas that we're gonna focus on. Okay, so what we're looking at is the inner brace is. As you can see, this is a pretty sizable piece of metal. It's probably where most of the weight's going to come out of. But I just want to give you a close-up of that to kind of show you what it looks like beforehand. Another area that we're going to focus on is going to be this area right here. And on the outside, which is the side you'll see obviously, you're not going to see that almost this whole area is going to be gone. I'm probably taking 90% of the metal out of this area. So it's really going to get chopped up. I thought I'd take a minute and show you the tools I used on my fender project. Some step drill bits. Some step drill bits with the ends cut off. I'll explain later. Some hole saws. Wire brush for your drill. A hand wire brush. A scraper. And some heat for cleaning off undercoating. Some files. Some files. A Harbor Freight angle grinder with a sanding disc on it. This was handy to have. An air grinder with a small cutoff wheel on it. A Harbor Freight angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. Now that I've made all my lines, spaced evenly apart all the way down, I'm using this, it's like a rubber washer or something, I don't even know where I got it from, but with a hole in the middle, and I'm just running it all along here, along this edge of the fender, and I'm just marking my center, as you saw, so that way I get nice, even, consistent row of holes. They look nice and straight all the way down. Just drill them out to whatever size hole makes you happy. That's some of the undercoating you see getting kind of hot there and burning off. So you can see here in this area, this has all been drilled out. There is a piece, a brace behind here that the fender kind of folds around and spot welds to. So as you're drilling this out, keep in mind you don't want to drill any of the spot welds out because it would cause the outer layer of the fender and this brace to separate. This is the front lower corner of the fender. This is where the body side molding would normally go, and this is where that big plastic lower trim piece goes. Once those are bolted back on this fender, unless you look from the back side of the fender, you will never know any of this was done. I put the body side molding back on and the bottom trim piece on the fender. As you can see by looking at it from the outside, you can't tell that anything's been done. What I did do to the trim piece is I drilled it out just like the fender, and also looking from the bottom here, if you were this would be looking from the bottom of the car, I widened this opening up a little bit to take a little weight out of it. And if you go around over here, you can see how that fender piece fits on there, that trim piece. What we're looking at now is the backside of the wheel opening lip. Originally, this portion was much taller as it contained extra metal which was used to mount the plastic factory wheel liners. Since I'm no longer using those, I was able to take that whole strip of metal all the way around the opening and cut it out. And actually what I did is this was originally just a body line that was stamped into it, and I followed that body line to give me a nice, smooth, even looking cut. And it even continued along up into here where it came up to about there. So I was able to eliminate all the metal in here, and I just followed it all the way around the wheel opening, and I was able to eliminate all that metal. This area that we're looking at here is unfortunately the only part of the fender where you will be able to noticeably tell that anything was modified. Basically what you can see here is I just put a bunch of speed holes in it. What we're looking at here is the area of the fender where the fender actually bolts to the car. These mounting tabs have all had metal taken out of them. And also, if you compare it to a stock factory fender, this edge along here where this lip is normally much wider. It also contains like the bumpers for the hood and that sort of thing. But if you follow this along, you will see this is considerably narrower than the stock fender. Here's another mounting tab that I took material out of both sides and I shortened it from here to here. I took some material off the end. Moving further back, you can see just a nice thin line of metal. Still looks factory if you don't know what you're looking at. This is the rearmost mounting point for the fender. Again, I cut some material off the end right here. Shortened, narrowed this, shortened it. And also, I'll show you here, looking at it from this side, this portion of the fender right here is the very back where it bolts on near the cowl. And actually, when you get into this area here, you don't even see this part from the engine compartment. So I just metal worked it, cleaned it up, and tried to make it look factory. And hopefully, nobody will know. What we're looking at here is what's left of a inner fender brace that used to run all the way in through here. What I did is I eliminated the middle part, and also what I did is I drilled this section out, I cut a big chunk of metal out of here, I welded this tab to the brace itself, and then I was able to eliminate the bolts. This tab bolts the fender to the car in the door hinge area. These are fender support brackets. They're just stamped steel pieces. On the left is a stock unmodified piece. The other two pieces, as you can see, have been drilled out to decrease weight. I'm done with this fender. I've painted it everywhere where I've worked on it. I've reinstalled the trim pieces. In total, I ended up removing 2.4 pounds of weight out of the fender, which is pretty good considering there's not a lot of areas to take weight out of these things. So I had to get a little creative. The fender is ready to go back on the car. I'm going to start on the passenger fender next. Between the two fenders and the mounting brackets, that should be 5 pounds off the front of the car. That gets me halfway to my initial goal of getting 10 pounds off the nose of the car. This was a pretty easy project to do. It was just time consuming. This fender was pretty rust free when I started. Thankfully it was undercoated when it was new, so that helped. But unfortunately I had to scrape the undercoating off. Undercoating for our purposes is heavy and it's messy. So if your fender is undercoated, I would suggest getting that stuff off there, get it nice and clean, and wire wheel it. That way you have a nice clean piece to work with. But like I said, this fender's done. I'm going to put it back on the car, and we'll see how it looks mounted on the car. All right, fender's back on the car. You can see where everything was drilled out and lightened up. There's a wheel lip there. There's the trim piece. Alright, here's some video of the fender reinstalled on the car. You can see it looks pretty stock. The nice thing about the black paint too is it all just kind of fades in together. And you can see right back in there, that was that section where I cut out that whole piece of metal in the back of the fender where I said it went along by the cowl. Okay guys, that's going to be it for this project. Hopefully this will give you some ideas on some things you can do to your car to make it better. We have more videos like this coming, so stay tuned and hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I can't give you full details, but I can tell you that what you just saw in this video has already helped the car. We'll talk more about that in a future installment of Agent AOD. If you haven't already met Agent AOD, scroll down the timeline and check out the introductory video to that car. That's our resident AOD Mustang that runs in the 12s with a stock cam and near stock heads at this point. In part 2 of Worth the Wait, Mitch is going to employ some really unconventional but also effective ways to lose weight, and you're not going to want to miss that. So we'll see you later.